Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Buckley and this is my presentation on pesticides and how they affect 6 to 9-year-olds. So 6 to 9-year-olds are considered in the developmental stage of being a school-aged child. During this time in their life, there's increased playground time and more group activities. Some expected milestones for this age range of children would be skills for sports teams, starting to lose baby teeth and grow their permanent teeth. Girls will start to develop armpit and pubic hair, as well as develop breasts. Girls may also have their first menstrual period during this age. There's also peer recognition. Reading skills will further develop. Children will start to have routines for activities because they start going to school and develop a routine with their family, and also will have the ability to follow multiple directions in a row. Environmental risks for 6 to 9-year-olds in general can be exposed through food, whether it be at home or at school or any social activities such as going to a friend's house or relative. Can be in the air, either indoor or outdoor, in the water, depending on what type of water they have at home, well, tap, if they drink bottled water, if they go to any community swimming pools, and if they use any drinking fountains. They may also be exposed through playgrounds. Pesticides and fertilizers can be on the wood, plastic, and other parts of the playgrounds. And other modes of exposure can include arts and craft supplies, cell phones, iPads, any electronic device. During the 6 to 9-year-old time frame, the biological vulnerabilities that are at the highest risk are the brain, the lungs, and metabolic system. Pesticides represent a wide variety of chemicals presented as different formulations and concentrations and used in different settings. So it can be agricultural settings, animal sanitary, bath, domestic use, or vector control. Modes of exposure for pesticides for school-age children can be in residue in or on foods that can't be washed off. Can be in large-scale agricultural exposure, so farms, small-scale garden and yard exposure, can be in contaminated drinking water, and also pesticide dust residue that lands on clothes, surfaces, floors, electronics, and other areas. Effects of exposure to pesticides can be either acute and chronic. They affect all body systems, and the effect depends on the extent of the exposure. So in acute poisoning, you may see tearing, salivation, bronchospasm, urination, incontinence, emesis, diarrhea, and diaphoresis. The long-term known effects of pesticides include central nervous system dysfunction, such as polyneuropathy. This central nervous system dysfunction usually occurs within the first 24 to 96 hours of exposure. There can be delayed neurotoxicity. Endocrine effects include increased puberty, thyroid issues, and hormone-related congenital effects, which include things like micropenis and hypospadias. Other effects can be certain types of cancers, dermatological issues, and respiratory issues such as exacerbation of asthma and pulmonary fibrosis. Prevention and treatment includes using alternatives instead of using pesticides, using other forms to keep our food safe. So there's the integrated pest management, the IPM, that has principles that are used for both indoor and outdoors. The IPM combines physical, cultural, biological, and other means of pest control with no or minimal use of pesticides. So this would include things such as farmers using cats to remove mice, using bait traps for cockroaches, and using boiling water to kill weeds. Another option can be tolerating of pests, so letting the ants and weeds be. There's a big push for families to buy organic and locally sourced foods, and also prevention of keeping children away from areas that have been treated with pesticides and keeping any pesticides out of reach of children. If there's a known exposure or you're working outside, you should take off any soiled, exposed outdoor shoes and clothing before you go inside the house. Treatment of exposure to pesticides includes antidote therapy. This will be specific based on the type of pesticide that was used. Decontamination, such as removing clothing, washing your skin, or gastric decontamination if it was ingested. You should also consult poison control centers, watch for seizures, and also report any incidents to local and state health departments. As healthcare workers, we need to also keep in mind that we should use specific PPE gear to protect us from the pesticides. Some pesticides are so strong that they can eat away through regular gloves. Plan of care and governmental agencies. There should be education to parents and policymakers for the concerning environmental hazards. Like it was said before, families should choose local and organic foods. They should also be checking U.S. Department of Agricultural labels and following the management and treatment options that were discussed on the previous slide. If the child ingests pesticides, the poison control line should be called as well. Primary care workers are required to access information from the National Pesticide Information Center. If there is a known exposure, the healthcare provider should ask for any labels of the products if they're available. They should follow basic life support treatment guidelines, and healthcare workers should make sure they're educating both the children and the parents on the risk of exposure, the management options that are available, and the treatment plans that should be followed if there is a known exposure. These are my references. I look forward to all of your feedback and also looking at your fellow student presentations. Thank you.